advertising copywriter. I've been in this business far too long to tell you, because then you'll know how old I am. I am also a columnist for Sunday Times, and I write books. Yeah, that's me.
Yay! And where are you right now?
I am in my lounge inside in Cape Town in Greenpoint.
Great.
And I am wearing pants. Just, I think it's important to state in a
unlike you mentioned on Facebook, you might go pantsless, but I'm very relieved you have them on.
It's important.
Vicky, hi.
Hi guys. I'm Vicky. I am the managing director of Ogilvy. I too am wearing pants. I am coming to you live from what can only be described as an attic at my parents' house. Nothing more realistic than moving in at the age of 40 with your mommy and your husband and your child. So, you know, first pandemic, it's what we're doing. Trying to not kill each other, you know.
Cool. And then we've got Larissa Elliott. Hi.
Hi. How's it, guys? I'm a freelance art director and creative director, and I'm coming through the wires to you from Joburg. I'm at home in my house with my dog on my lap.
Oh.
Anything, it's her. It's not me screaming.
Is it in a blankie or a towel?
Yeah, she's in a blanket. She's very...
I want to be someone's dog.
She's very...
Sweet, man. So, I want us to kick off by just asking, how are you? Maybe Vicky, will start with you. How has your Tuesday been? Do you know that it's Tuesday?
I don't know it's Tuesday. I said to someone today, happy Thursday, and they were like, what are you doing? So it does feel like the 23rd of Blue's Day. The year was 2047. But good. I think like all of us, it's kind of Zoom, Teams, WhatsApp. I kind of feel like I work at like I'm an intelligence officer at the moment. I've got like 3 screens with all different kinds of comms going. But good, you know, I think it's what we call the Corona coaster. So today we're here on the Corona coaster. It's a pretty good one, especially ending off the day chatting to some like-minded women, which is probably the most fun I've had in a while.
Good. Larissa, where are you on the Corona coaster today?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, 100% agree. It's up and down, you know, depending how much tea and chocolate I've had and what's on my schedule for the day. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm kind of maybe a little bit over the lockdown. I think it would be really great, you know, and I'm an introvert, but I'm missing people and community and, you know, being out in crowded spaces. So I'm kind of a little bit like over the whole lockdown thing, but other than that, yeah, doing pretty well.
Paige?
Well, I was doing great, and then I see somebody whose camera isn't muted with a massive glass of wine.
Yes, I saw that, Michelle. That's you, Michelle. Switch off your camera.
Who still has alcohol at this point in the lockdown?
No, yeah, I'm not doing as well as I was doing about 17 seconds ago, when she brought it into the screen and did like this beautiful, perfect advertising sip. And I didn't feel as good as I felt before. No, I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm okay. Yesterday at about 4:38, I looked at my watch and thought it was today, and thought that I'd made a big cock up and missed this whole thing and had like a big panic attack. But then I realized it was just Monday, and that's what's supposed to happen on a Monday anyway. So it's normal.
Okay, good. So what for you has been the best part of being in lockdown? Has there been a best part?
Is you me?
You. Sorry, Paige. Yes, and then the others will get to answer too.
There are a lot of yous here. The best part, you start with the hard questions, and you got to dig deep to find the best part of this flipping disaster. Maybe for me, it's the creativity. Starting to see a lot of creativity. This morning, I saw a guy at the bottom of my street. So it's like a bad thing and a good thing wrapped up into one. And he had taken a stick, a very long stick, and attached a paper cup to it. And he was begging at the robots with this very long stick And I just thought we're just going to see so much creativity, and we're going to start to see it. And that, I think, it is the best. And I'm projecting forward. I'm hoping that that's going to be the best thing, that all these things are going to start happening that are going to kind of change the face of life. And yeah, I'm in it for the creativity.
Vicky, have you found something good in this terrible time?
I think, I mean, it sounds so, I mean, it's so pedestrian to say it, but the traffic and not having to give a fuck about the traffic it's been life-changing. I live in the southern suburbs of Cape Town, and I work in Woodstock, and that hysterical, okay, you know, what's the morning routine going to be like? School drop off into the office, or must rush home to do XYZ. What, you know, what's that going to be like? And now, you know, the biggest traffic is potentially tripping over the pet on the way up the stairs, which, yeah, so that's been quite liberating. Is not having to have that extra noise in the background. Right. I mean, there's new noise, but at least there's not that kind of noise. Yeah, which has been quite lekker.
Larissa, and you? Have you found a silver lining?
Yeah, I mean, it is quite tricky, you know, because I think the scale of things and the consequences of things are starting to really, the reality starting to sink in now of this whole situation. So it is quite tricky to see the silver lining. But I think for me personally, what I really appreciated during this time was a lot of like connection and you know, despite disparities and differences between, you know, people that you work with and friends and family everywhere, we're going through the same thing at the same time. So I think, you know, with the productivity pressure and then, you know, the mental health issues that have set in, the fatigue, and then the upswing again, you know, as the levels change, like that's what I found very comforting during this time, as we're all experiencing and finding about the virus and its consequences at the same time. So I've really appreciated that. That's the connection during this time has been really wonderful to see. So I really like it.
Yeah. And for me, it was the kindness. The kindness has been.
Yes, there's a lot of, I think, reaching out and a lot of empathy and patience going on, especially when you're dealing with clients. You know, I think there's a lot of understanding the difficulty of each other's situation. And I don't think we always get to have those conversations. And this has brought a lot of that stuff to the surface, which I think is always great.
Can I add something as well?
Yeah.
You made me think, but so I don't have kids, but my business partner, Karen, my art director, she has kids. And I think this has been a real opportunity for people who are normally in the workplace to understand what it's like to be a working parent or working mother or working father who's at home with the kids. I think it's like a global understanding on a scale that we've never had before. And I do think that'll impact how we are going forward, you know. I think just spend like all these weeks working at home with your kids and you instantly have more of an appreciation of what people go through.
Definitely. I go off to them, the parents at the moment.
Yeah, they should be able to buy wine, really. They should.
9 and 10 or 11 and 12 when it's like nap time and they can just dash out and get mommy, daddy.
Yeah, forget alphabetical. That's a much better idea.
Yes. Shem, you'll be in the second batch, Paige. And what about the really horrible parts? What is it, Larissa? You said earlier that you're over this now. Like,
yeah, I think it's just, you know, I guess it's just the stuff that we took for granted, the stuff we didn't appreciate before, you know, meeting friends at a restaurant or just going to a gallery on the weekend, or I don't know, just getting together with people, having like odd conversations, you know, in the studio kitchen, things like that that don't have at the moment. And that's been a little bit hard, you know, even though the wonders of Zoom and technology are on our side. And I think that's pretty awesome, but just real conversation, face-to-face conversation and, you know, taking up space together. Those things I think are been really tricky. And then, as I said, like there are some really real conversations I've had to have with clients, and seeing a lot of their goals and ambitions, the stuff that they briefed you on at the beginning of the year or the end of last year, a lot of those briefs disappearing and being reduced. And so that's been really, really hard. And you don't want anyone's dreams to be shattered. You just want them to be put on hold. But it's a really, that's been quite great.
Yeah. I think that brings me to my next question to all three of you. How's work going? Is it going? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it?
Well, it's different. It's definitely different. Well, I guess, for us, as I said, I'm part of a freelance creative team, conceptual team. So, obviously, freelance is the first thing to go when an agency has to cut back drastically. I think we've been really, really lucky in a lot of ways. Definitely, it's completely different and it's slowed down. Our regular kind of grind has slowed down and taken a completely different shape. So in around about January, we picked up a retainer client, which is unheard of for us. It's not something we normally look for or go out for. And it kind of came to us through an old friend of ours. And we really liked the guy and we really liked his business, and so we took it on, even though we weren't really sure that it would be a good fit for us. And lo and behold, a few months later, there we sit with our retainer client, very much keeping us alive. And he's kind of recession proof, and he seems to be pandemic proof. His business seems to be pandemic proof. So that's just been like the biggest blessing of 25 years in advertising. I can't think of a bigger luck.
That's amazing.
So our business has completely shifted and changed shape, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Who knows?
And Vicky, big agency vibes?
Yeah, look, it's if you look at the industries that are impacted and you look at the clients that various agencies have, you can imagine that there's a hell of a lot of pressure. I think we've been very lucky in that a lot of our clients have really lent into the partnership with us. Even the clients who are having to have difficult conversations, in particularly in the PR space. And we've got clients who are in the travel industries, which are obviously just, dead in the water right now. Just the empathy and the kindness that Larissa was referring to earlier, it's been quite refreshing to see that come through from clients as well. And kind of, if we do this now, what happened? Maybe we can come back later and do something else. And, what does it mean for you and your people and your business? So that's been quite refreshing, because I think often when you work in an advertising agency, you kind of have the client and the agency.
Yes.
And we've really walked a journey to, so that our clients really, they love our people and they care about our people as much as we do, which has been really refreshing to see. But it's difficult, I think advertising, well, certainly for me, I get a lot of energy from being in the room with people and being in the room with teams. And I think, yes, there's technology and there's all of those things, but it's still not quite exactly the same. But the one thing that has been very telling is that this whole work remotely, work from home, this thing that I think a lot of bigger agencies have been quite, how's this going to work? Us all being just pushed off the deep end into it. And there've been a lot of great learnings, I think.
That's amazing.
So we're all just really doing our best. And as Paige says, what happens in the morning is maybe not what is the situation in the evening or even the next day, as the levels change and the lockdown changes and this client runs out of this sort of cash position. So it's a constantly evolving situation.
How about new business and pitching for all three of you? How is that? Is that happening? How is that taking place?
So it is happening. We our network did a pitch in lockdown. I'm just trying to be accurate. I think the RFP was done before lockdown, but the pitch was done in lockdown via Zoom, which is obviously a whole different ball game, and the chemistry of the team is a little bit different. And they were successful in that pitch, which is great.
That's awesome.
we've seen a couple of stop starts. So some RFIs or some RFPs that came through that were kind of like, no, don't worry, we're definitely going ahead. And those have kind of gone quiet. But yeah, so I think also there is a, unless there are pitches that were really well underway and those big contract pitches, like I believe the NTN pitch is still ongoing. I think there is a bit of a, unless it's a brand new, never been with an agency before, I think there's also a bit of a solidarity between clients and agencies. Like, is this really the right time to be moving?
We worked on a pitch. We worked on a pitch in lockdown, maybe less than a month ago, maybe, for King James. So I think there is a little bit of pitching going on. Definitely not, obviously, to the extent that was going on. It was also a successful pitch for them. So we were quite surprised when it came in. I must say, when the call came, are you available to work on a pitch? We were like, what?
A what now? A what?
January called. I don't know. So I mean, good news. And I kind of have a feeling that now I think it's going to open up a little bit more, obviously. Well, I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Larissa, and you, how have you found the whole finding of new work and carrying on?
Yeah, I was pretty lucky when this whole thing happened that I landed a contract for 3 months. So that's been keeping me busy during this time. But, there was that with that coming to an end, there's groundwork that now has to be done, to put myself out there, to tap into my network, just to see exactly what's going on. I am working on a pitch at the moment, but that doesn't guarantee, the more you talk to agencies, there is no guarantee of a contract that will be extended beyond that. And also there's a freeze on freelancers, that's going around. So I think that it is a matter of just putting ourselves out there a little bit more than we would have, to find out really what's going on. In regards to like my own clients outside of agencies, I think the lesson that I've learned, and just talking to some other freelancers and independent creatives, we are having, not everyone, but there is suddenly that struggle, obviously given the anxiety of the situation, to get clients to pay on time, and briefs and schedule, like follow through of those things. So I think a lesson across the board, I think for everyone, this has been a wake-up call, right? But I think I know that I've been vetting briefs and clients and projects more than I normally would, especially regarding how much realistically, how much time you need from me, commitment-wise. Are you willing to pay overtime? Do you even have money to see this project through? Like, are you waiting for a loan to be approved or a partner? These conversations are very, as creatives, we're not always equipped to deal with these things.
That's so awkward.
I think that's
such
excellent.
Awkward conversations.
I think it's excellent that you're saying that, and I think it leads to my next question, which is practical advice, especially for the freelancers out there. I think some of us in agencies, certainly, sorry, I have children screaming outside. Some of us in agencies are fine and quite protected, but I think freelancers are obviously stressed and worried about this. Do you have any practical advice, kind of how to continue putting yourself out there and how to make sure that you're making best use of this strange situation we're in?
Yeah, I think, look, 101, get a contract, right? I mean, just pay the little bit of money to, say, a great firm like Legalese, and they can draw up a contract for you that just covers your bases. And then I think don't be afraid to have very difficult and honest conversations up front. I mean, like in agencies, there was a buffer, there's a filter. It's the MD or the client service or finance who has those discussions. So I think get to grips already with the discomfort of having to negotiate fees and scheduling of jobs, and just realistic expectations up front with clients now, no matter what the scale is, from like your corner bakery to your Nike client. So I think approach everything like that and vet it, and make sure that you're doing a bit of your homework. And if you're not getting the clients that you want right now, because things are very difficult, is find a way to be proactive and fill your portfolio or your social media with projects, self-initiated briefs, I don't know, like doing something pro bono, to just get yourself in the space where those clients are looking, should things turn around sooner than you think. That's probably what's going to happen. It's going to turn like that. And you want to be top of mind, you know, when they're looking for new talent, but then you have to have your boxes in check.
Yeah.
You know, you're prepared. It's a learning curve. It's been, I don't think anyone could have prepared for how crazy this thing was going to get.
No.
But it's been a real learning curve. And so I think, I don't know, personally, I'm grateful for that, because it kicked me in the behind a little bit.
Yeah. Paige, you?
I would say, well, for freelancers who are maybe out of work a little bit, which is how we found ourselves definitely with Holes. I've always been big on a side hustle, has been my biggest thing. I started writing books in, I think, 2009. I wanted to kind of have something else other than advertising that I could kind of do, because I was getting older, and I don't know how sexy it is to be like a 60-year-old copywriter in an ad agency.
It's amazing.
Is it legal? No. So I started writing books, and then that kind of turned into columns. So I kind of built this side hustle, and it's become a really big thing for me. It's become a big part of my life. So I think side hustle is super important. We're looking for opportunities everywhere. So like I went to just go look, I see BBC UK have put out, you know, they're looking for comedy series pitches. The deadline is pretty soon. I think it's the 7th of June or something. So I've gone looking for kind of who's looking for content. I think robots can't replace creativity. They can't replace writers and art directors and those kinds of things. So I'm going to look for those opportunities. Who's looking for content? There are quite a lot of open submissions for books right now, for series, for things like that. So I'm kind of dipping my toe in some things that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but haven't had the opportunity, and now taking this opportunity of like a deadline, right? You've got to have this done by the 7th of June to do that. And then another example, like Karen, my art director, her mother is the chair lady of the Bleeding Heart Society, and she's been whizzing up masks since, I think, February. She's really into it, and she's sewing them as fast as she can. And she called us and she said, "Oh, you guys are in advertising. I need you to get masks on TV." So we were like, okay.
I'll get the president to wear one.
Exactly. Call the president.
Cover his eyes with it.
And teach everyone how to make masks. So we were like, oh, okay. Okay, sure. She's her mom, so we can't really argue with her. So we contacted the Sunday Times and we said, can we make you an insert on how to make a mask? And they were like, yeah, can you make it for the cover? And so they gave us like the cover of the lifestyle and like an inside full page. And we designed this whole thing of how to make a mask. It was a pattern that you could cut out and then make a mask. And then, so that kept us busy for a week. And then they've called us and they said, the Sowetan would love to do it too. And so would Wanted magazine. So then Sowetan got a full page and Wanted magazine also got a spread. So things that you like don't know what they're going to be have become something for us. So I really, that side hustle, I think, is what's going to carry me through and help me pay my bond, and also help me not go crazy, because if you take my work away from me, you may as well just stick me in a straitjacket and send me straight to Falkenberg. I can't cope with that. So that's been a big coping mechanism for me. Yeah.
Vicky, I want to ask you, I know you're in a similar situation to me, in that we have little people, and that often makes free time, a bit of a mystery. How are you coping with parenting in a pandemic?
I'm very fortunate in that my child's quite young, so she doesn't really know what's going on, and because we've moved temporarily to her grandparents, she's literally living her best life. Sorry guys. She's like skipping around their garden and playing with my doting parents. So for me, it hasn't changed that much. I think it's quite an interesting question that came through on the chat is, what I need to guard against is I can over-index into working, and with this whole, I don't have to drive, and my child is completely cared for and I don't have to send the nanny home. you know, I could find myself going from 7 in the morning till, you know, 7 at night, and that's not healthy, and that's not sustainable. So for me, and maybe this makes me remember the Bad Parent Society, my parenting hasn't changed other than I need to just kind of go, okay, listen, like, you know, maybe go downstairs and
no, but I think you're absolutely right, and I've heard it from other people that this work-life balance, harmony it's something that's being challenged, and the division between work and life, it's all very blurry, those lines.
Very blurred, yeah. It is, and I think you've got to draw your own, you know, you kind of have to draw your own boundaries, because no one's going to draw a boundary for you. You know, no one's going to go, oh, Anelde, I see you were on a call from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Like, no one's going to do that for you. No. You've got to do it for yourself. You've got to go, okay, guys, you know, I'm going to call it. I'm sorry, I can't make this meeting. And I think that's the interesting thing, is everyone seems to assume, I think it's just human nature, that because we're all at home, we're all available. You know, so
and on weekends, I find people are not respecting that necessarily.
Yeah, would you normally schedule a meeting at 7 o'clock at night? You know, in pre-pandemic? Yes, no. Yes, if it was a huge disaster emergency, then sure, let's do that. But no, not just to quickly, I don't know, Somo catch up on X and Y and Z. And I mean, these are extraordinary times, but I think we all know where our burning points are. And I think, you know, we've got to call in at that place. And I think what certainly what we've done from a work perspective is we've actually asked people to take leave, because we know about the burn and the bleed. So we've actually said, you know, in a 6-week cycle, you need to take, you know, a certain amount of leave, because it forces people to switch off. And we've seen it. You know, everyone was all skipping into lockdown going, oh, working from home is amazing. And then I think when we entered, it was like halfway through the second week, people were like, ooh. And we saw kind of, you know, there were a lot of mental health kind of, you know, flags going up. And we've got a counselor that works for our network, and she was raising a flag going, guys, you know, you guys are running hot. I'm getting a lot of people put their hands up for session. So I think it's about, you know, to Larissa's point earlier, also about kindness. You know, we've certainly from a management perspective, we've asked people to check in with their teams, and to not have the first thing be check in on a project, but actually check in on each other. How are you doing? How are you doing with your run rate? How are you doing with the burn? You know? And it's, but I think if you don't call it for yourself, no one's going to call it for you. So you just need to be quite clear on where your points are.
How do you think we need to navigate this new normal? I find that for the first few weeks, every single meeting started with a discussion. How are you feeling? Is everyone healthy? Are you okay? And I mean, like after 3-4 weeks, that got a bit exhausting to start every meeting with like a mini therapy session. How do we find that balance? When do we, I don't know, we always want to care and we always need to be kind, but I just think it's quite difficult striking a balance.
I think it is difficult, but I think now is the time for leaders to disproportionately dig deep. You know, if you're leading a team, and none of us have ever led in a pandemic before, because there's no course at the AAA or the Vega for this shit. Okay, like we're all figuring it out, right? Like there's no
but there online will be next year, yes.
Yeah, LinkedIn, how to please in a pandemic, 20-minute video. But I think, you know, the leaders have got to lead, and it's hard, and but you have to ask your people how they're doing, and you have to create that space, whether it's, and if let's use me as an example, let's say I'm like, oh no, I'm full of asking people how they're doing, make sure you dispatch someone to do it.
Yes.
You know, if you're saying I'm out, I need some mental health space from asking everyone how their kittens and their puppies and their banana breads are doing. But then make sure that you make someone else do it, because you can't not do it. Like now's not the time to kind of go, oh, it's a little hard to be a leader today.
No, I think someone gave me that advice. They have a team meeting every morning, and they had this little check-in, but then it got quite draining on some of them, and then they started taking turns. So they had one-on-ones with different members of the team, so that it's not always the manager checking in with every single person, but some of the kind of like team members checking in on each other and almost taking turns.
No, I agree. It should be everyone's responsibility, definitely, Anelde. I do think though that you know, not everyone's on the same wavelength at the same time. And I know, again, like, you know, just chatting to clients and colleagues, checking in on them more regularly. There are some who started this thing guns blazing, filled, including myself sometimes, like diaries were filled up from 7 o'clock in the morning with this seminar and that workshop and this brainstorming and this expectation. Whereas there are some people who are really grappling with the, you know, what's actually happening with the situation and the insecurity. So everyone kind of comes in at a different time. That's why I think it is, like to Vicky's point, it is important to keep checking in if you can, and that can take different forms, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a constant, massive discussion at the beginning of things, but, you know, just keeping in mind that our chemistries and our situations evolve, especially parents and non-parents, or those living alone, those living with families or partners that are in hard situations. So I think it is important to touch base with each other, but it has to be everybody. We all have to do it all together.
How about staying inspired? How do you do that? I find myself that I get frustrated with all my inspiration being on a screen because I'm not seeing people in real life. So a morning walk through the neighborhood is amazing if you can look at a house in 3D and there's an actual house and a garden to look at. How do you guys stay inspired?
And this one's been difficult for me because I'm a writer, and at the moment I'm writing a weekly column for the Sunday Times. My content has always come from the people around me and the places that I'm, especially when I'm in agencies with these young kids telling outrageous stories. You know, you just sit there and the material just comes to you. You know, it's wild. I mean, I don't actually even have to go out. I can just like live them going out and then regurgitate it out. So a lot of my content, especially when I'm writing about sex and dating, one has to go on a date in order to write about dating, you know, pretty much. So that's been like really difficult for me. And so what's also to add to that is like every conversation is a Corona conversation. And so I'm writing now running and Corona, or dating and Corona, you know, every kind of subject is something and Corona, and like I'm a little over it, and I'm also a little over my own privilege. You know, every sentence I write, I'm like, oh, I'm running and it's so hard because you got to wear a mask and you're breathing back in your own face. Oh, ha ha ha. Meanwhile, actually, I'm so fucking lucky. So I'm running this gamut of not having very much input coming in like I would normally, and having to find it, like you say, this one-dimensional on a computer screen. And then also the content is like just so singular and so small. And it's not even like I can go on the Atlantic and find somewhere else in the world talking about herpes. I can't. It's not there. They're talking about herpes and Corona, you know. So so that's been like a challenge. So I'm figuring that one out, the inspiration. I'm trying to, you know, I couldn't read, and then to add insult to injury, I couldn't read for the first 5 weeks. So and reading's such an escape for me in every way. Like pick up a book and read the same line 5 times. Actually, at first I couldn't even pick up a book. So like that was such a loss, like to not be able to read on top of all of this other stuff. Again, here's my privilege, like shame, poor me. But so finally I've been able to start reading again. So I'm kind of piling that back in, and that's, but my biggest attempt at inspiration was to stay off social media. I haven't really succeeded. I really haven't succeeded like I wanted to, but man, social media is like a big inspiration suck right now. So I'm hoping that twists and comes back a little bit.
At least we know what next year's Grand Prix is going to be. It's going to be
Zoom backgrounds.
Apart together.
I just want to say I'm delighted no one on here has a Zoom background.
What do you mean? This is my beautifully curated Zoom background.
Brought to you by apartment therapy, obviously.
You know what? I saw that thing where a manager had been on a WhatsApp chat with their family at the beginning of lockdown and changed her face to a potato. And then she was able to get it back again. And then for the rest of lockdown, she was a potato in all of like this big potato head. So I'm not messing with the blooming background.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
I think
Well, I did move the unsightly things from behind, the piles of
Yeah, totally.
untouched laundry and
Yeah, no,
and
there's laundry on the floor.
exactly,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
my body
can't
is
move
blocking
my
out
screen.
the piled up dishes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I want to say I'm going to list 5 things, and you need to tell me how many of these 5 you've done. You don't have to say which 5.
Ever in your life or just in this lockdown?
Just now.
To be clear.
In your life.
Normally this is a drinking game. I don't know.
So it's like H2O. Okay, so baked bread, baked banana bread, lost a client, won a client, smuggled alcohol.
Ooh.
How many have
Out
you
or
done?
in with alcohol, or it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Over the past, how many ever, 800 weeks we've been in lockdown. How many of those 5 have you done?
I've done 3 of those. Do I have to say which ones?
No, you don't have to.
I've done 3 of those, yeah.
You can keep us guessing. I think Vicky's done all 5.
No, I'm actually feeling like a nerd. I think I've done 1, maybe 2.
Yeah, I'm on 2.
Yeah.
Please tell me someone else has smuggled alcohol. I'm just joking.
Out or in?
Ooh.
Oh.
In the smuggle chain, in the value chain of smuggling.
In the value chain, in the supply chain.
It was 1 for 1. Yeah, red for 1.
101. And then Zoom or Teams?
All of
Which
the
is
above.
all of the above.
WhatsApp, FaceTime, Zoom, Teams. They've invented it. I've had to use it.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering what happened to Skype. I'm not exactly sure why Skype got left,
Skype
behind.
did not survive the revolution.
Not.
No.
I still have questions around that.
Yeah.
We've been freelancing remote for 7 years, whatever. I don't care. What's Skype, Face, Snapchat? I don't care. As long as as long as somebody's inviting me onto a call, I really am a bit of a whore. I don't care.
You'll pick it
I'll
up.
be honored. I don't care.
You'll pick it up.
The medium's not important.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Johannie, have we got some questions?
We have, but guys, please tell us your questions because we've got a bit of time, which is great.
Yes.
We don't have enough time for Q&A. So, Vicky, a couple of agency questions. You have to speak on behalf of all of them.
On behalf of the entire advertising industry.
ACA. But it's also something I've wondered about, that will agencies be supportive of people working from home after the pandemic? And do you think this will help, for women, the struggle with work life and flexi working and those kind of things? So that was the first thing I thought, here we're all doing it, and the show still goes on.
Yeah, I think it absolutely will change. I think a lot of it depends on your role. I think from a creative perspective, a lot of it depends on your partner. So if I use Karen and Paige as an example, they're a team that are in a rhythm. They, if they're working remotely, they're not afraid to go and work at each other's houses, or, I think a lot of it depends on either your partner, if you're in that kind of team, that kind of close team, or in the broader team dynamic. But definitely, I think, whereas, in the past it was, it was you either in or you're out. I think now, if you need to work from home for a day or two, I think it's totally doable. And I think a lot of questions are being asked around kind of the necessity for everyone to be in the office all the time.
Yeah.
For a long time, we, from an Ogilvy perspective, have not really ever got succeeded in having core hours. So, and then having people kind of flex around that as to what suits their kind of needs, whether it's a yoga class or a child thing or a golf, a game of golf. But I think it will change. I think also if you look at the expense of infrastructure and buildings, if you currently have a desk and a chair and a space for 300 people, do you really need that going forward if you're going to have 20% of your workforce rotating in and out? I think it's sparked a lot of interesting questions around, just kind of overheads, and rather just looking at your overheads as a staff cost, looking at your overheads from a travel and a actual rent and lease perspective. I think we're going to see a lot of change in that space.
Can you also chat a bit about, you mentioned how you have someone at Ogilvy that like a counselor. I mean, what are you doing for staff in terms of mental health, and what has worked, and you know, tips for us that don't have access to that, but you know, how do you cope? How does one cope?
I think the thing to realize is, I mean, I made a joke about it before, but I mean, like, no one in the history of the world has ever done this before. Like, yes, people are, and I'm not a historian, so please don't quote me directly on this, are kind of, you know, talking about the Spanish flu and, you know, all these epidemics and pandemics, and yes, but it's never happened in this day and age with this amount of pressure, with these amounts of expectations for people to just keep calm and kind of carry on. I saw a great quote the other day. It said, "I'm not working from home. I'm working during a pandemic." And I think we all need to just kind of give each other, you know, some days you're going to be firing on all cylinders and some days you're not, and that's okay. Like, we've all never done this before. I'm very lucky to be part of an agency group that has the resources to kind of go, okay, we're going to, you know, we've had a counselor in our Joburg office for a while, and what the pandemic actually brought us, or the lockdown, should I say, is the opportunity to access that resource across the whole of Ogilvy South Africa, because everyone was doing Zoom and Skype and all of that kind of stuff. And we've been very lucky that we've had a very good success rate in that space. It's completely private. You know, a manager can refer an employee, or an employee can go directly. And you know, there's kind of like a 4 sessions per person, kind of, when I say limit, but it's, you know, just, you know, if someone maybe needs to be referred for something, if they perhaps need some, you know, medication, or if they need a different type of therapy as opposed to kind of initial counseling. And we've seen a really positive uptake to that. And it's also been great for the leaders to not feel that they have to own that, because I think sometimes people come to you and they kind of go, oh, this is what's happening in my life. And you kind of go, oh, fuck, I don't know how to deal with that situation. And it's quite empowering to say, you know, obviously I'm incredibly sorry for you. Can we set you up with a counselor? Please, you know, can we encourage you to do this, this, and this? Let us know what you need. So we've been very lucky in that instance. But I think, just no one's ever done this before. Just do your best, man.
Anyone else with coping strategies or strange things that keep you calm? Playlists?
Strange things that keep us calm. Is that the question?
Yes, for 200. Strange things that keep you calm, Paige. I've got a couple of WhatsApp chat groups with a couple of mates that have just been fucking hysterical and have kept me going. Like, from the deeply inappropriate to just random memes, and I think that's been great. It's just, you know, you've got to find something to laugh at or laugh with, or, you know, even if it's just mocking a friend like me who's dressed according to her roots that are coming out, you know, it's just, you know, trying to find that connection that, you know, even if it's in a laugh or a cry or whatever. But I think, certainly my kind of friendship network has been very important in this time, and kind of tapping into it any way we can.
Maybe memes and marijuana being a good mix.
The new M&M.
Yeah, all right.
And the baking has helped as well. All the recipes, all the baking, all the time. That helped a lot.
And then on top of that, being able to go outside and run it off, right?
Yeah.
That's been a big, the difference, my mental health, the difference, I've got to be honest, the difference pre being able to go outside, even just for 3 hours in the morning, my mental health has shifted massively. You know, we all have good days and bad days in this thing that's allowed, and it's happening. And I've kind of learned, I think, to recognize a bad day and to warn the people around me, like, this is a bad day and I'm sorry, and it's going to be a bad day, and it's just what it is, and I'm sorry. I can't eat, I'm going to try eat my way out of it, but I can't. So like totally good days, and then terrible days, awful days that you inflict on the people that you're living in close quarters with. And I got to say that those have lessened with being able to go outside just for a few hours. It's kind of, I think the studies that we're going to see after this are going to be remarkable. I saw somebody tweeting that toothpaste manufacturers have seen a decline in toothpaste.
Yes.
Did you see that? People are using less, brushing their teeth less. I had to look 15 minutes to try to find my lipstick. I don't know where I'd left my lipstick.
No,
Well,
again, I
think
haven't worn
the-
lipstick in 2 months.
No, I couldn't find it. I didn't find the color I wanted. You all got my second tier color. I apologize. But so I think a lot's going to come out of this. A lot of really interesting socioeconomic and social stuff. One of them being that the exercise just has a massive mental health benefit.
Yeah.
Okay. Anelde, can you read them? Do you want me to read them out loud?
Go for it. Go for it.
If there has been any changes in the agency, so it's either going to be for you, Vicky, or people who work with agencies, like retrenchments, pay cuts, that result in short time, how do you speak to your clients to manage expectations so that your staff aren't burnt out? So I guess it's a situation of having to do more with less people, or, if it's not the case in your agency, how does one address that with clients?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've had some examples of clients who've completely swung the other way, and they've gone, oh, you're all working from home, so you can actually work 24 hours a day, which has been deeply terrifying, because we had to have an actual honest conversation going, do you genuinely think that there is enough time on earth to do what you wanted to do? And I think there again, it goes to the leadership relationship with that client, is around, what do we all need to do, to keep kind of the wheels turning and keep the lights on, as everyone's talking about, everyone's being very dramatic about, the lights must stay on. And absolutely, but what is too much? What's exploitative? What is, and I think it depends on the relationship that leadership have. And I think it also, a lot of the staff that are on the ground, that are at the coalface, need to call it. And kind of go, hey guys, do you realize this is like this, the second or third weekend in a row we're being asked to work, just checking that you guys are aware of this. And I think it is that two-way dialogue, because often leadership, and not because they don't want to care, it's just they may be, and particularly in lockdown, you can't see with your own eyes as you're leaving the building who's still in the building, who's working late. You don't know that unless that's being fed back to you. So I think now is a time for everyone to kind of first understand that we're all going to be asked to do more. We all have been asked to do more, but also to really kind of go, as an adult, okay, I feel like this is getting a bit much, or is there any light at the end of this tunnel because this is my second or third weekend? And if it is getting exploitative between the client and the agency, it's about getting your leadership team to lean into that and say, listen, we understand, but or we need to rotate people out.
We had another question here, about budgets, and do you think budgets will pick up in June? But
I don't know. I think it depends. I think clients in the retail clothing sector, the clients that service the kind of the middle to bottom end, from when they were allowed to trade, have seen amazing revenue come in. But some of the other clients in kind of fast food takeaway, you looking at, I mean, you obviously all read what's going on out there. You look at clients in the alcohol sector, you look at the wine industry, you look at, any alcohol industry, there's a huge kind of backlog up the supply chain. And I think whilst certainly the mood will change as soon as those industries are allowed to start trading again, I don't think it's going to just summer be, oh, okay, well, that was over now, back to the old budget. I don't think that, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom out there. I think certain markets and certain industries have been completely, as Paige said, completely pandemic proof. So if you look at your cell phone companies, your telecommunications companies, your MultiChoices and your Netflixes and all of those guys. But I think we would be naive if we just thought that everything would kind of go back to old budgets. I think we're going to see a tail end on very deliberate questions around budgets from clients probably for the next 18 months to 2 years.
I also think that, and I don't think it'll by any means cover what we're going to lose, but I think new categories will pop up. So new budgets will come in. Like I said, there's no way they're going to cover what we're going to lose in the travel and all those other sectors. But definitely there has to be low touch economy, new category things that I don't know what they are yet. I'm trying to come up with them so that I can make a buck. But it's got to happen too. So maybe that'll just supplement a little bit. These are the hopes. These are the little hopes that I have before I close my eyes at night for 6 hours of wakeful sleepness.
But
Yeah,
it's true, Paige. I think, innovation comes at a time of necessity is the mother of all invention, is that age-old saying. And I think things will shift and things will change. In a weird way, it's quite exciting. I think it gives businesses an opportunity to accelerate changes that they've been wanting to make, that they've maybe either held onto a revenue stream or held onto kind of legacy things. And with that kind of obliterated, you can kind of go, oh, well, okay, if I don't have to hang on to that anymore, can I move into something new? And to Paige's point, I think,
what can I swap it out for?
Yeah, and I think to Paige's point, it will change, but I think kind of is it ever going to go back to the way it was? I think my answer is no. My vote is no on that.
So either.
But I think
I don't know what you think.
Talking to our clients, even just as someone who deals with clients directly, as much as I've got like a lot of optimism and hope that there are ways to divert things and new projects will pop up, I think it's constantly asking them, because there's something said in the press about the client when you actually ask them what's going on with their business rescue or their, what they're doing on their side of the business, what it realistically means. I'd much rather know upfront than later on when they package the information for us, So it's a really, really tricky that you have to have this, like a much closer relationship with your clients than ever before. And understand their business, we think it's all like pictures and posts and likes and stuff, but actually there's so much going on behind the scene, difficult decisions they have to make, that it's going to help us if we get to know those details.
Yeah. Here's another good question. Do you think we should be encouraging our clients to create non-COVID related content? Liesel, who asked the question, said she's suffering from COVID fatigue. Clients all seem to be taking the same thing and wonder how we can be encouraged to stand out by not talking pandemic.
And they're all starting to say exactly the same thing.
Well, there's only so much you can say. I saw that question and I've been thinking about it for a few minutes because I think it's an interesting question. I think it depends on the category the brand is in. Some brands aren't going to be able to get away from it, and other brands will be able to move. I think we've really seen phases already of communications, COVID communications. So obviously, the memes are hilarious. In the beginning, we stand together, we fight this, then we thank the people who are on the front line. So we've moved through different messaging hoops. It seems that everybody's moved through the same hoops, but let's not go there. We've moved through these messaging hoops, and I do think we will continue to move through those messaging hoops. I think if brands pretend it isn't happening, they maybe haven't taken the temperature of the country. So I don't think you can pretend that it's not happening, but there have to be ways to start to move through that into a different kind of communication. Definitely, because we can't carry on saying the same things. We're over it.
Mm-hmm.
Johannie, maybe we should, that last question about Nadine's question.
Yes. Any advice for, I guess, having meetings, big meetings in general, but this one is specifically about how do you do brainstorming and collaborative thinking over the screen? So from the creatives, how do you kind of get those creative juices flowing if you're having to do it on your own and you plug into Teams?
Yeah.
For example, we've
Nadine, I don't know how.
No, go for it.
No, go. No, go. For example, we need the example.
Quick one that we're looking at now for our mentorship events is a conferencing platform called Remo, and it's something between Minecraft and they call it between Minecraft and Zoom, and it's got little rooms that you go into. So we're quite keen to show you guys that in a few weeks hopefully. But just a different interface that is just looking at another face on a screen or taking it offline.
That's
so
amazing.
Any advice?
Nadine, I don't know how big your team is, but my art director and I, Karen, as I said, we've been freelancing and doing this for 7 years. She has twins, and she has 3 kids, and 2 of them are twins. And so we work a lot remotely, and we collaborate in Keynote, for example. So we're always in the same document at the same time, and then we always have FaceTime open as well. So we're constantly talking, and we're refined our process over all these years and gotten to a place where we're actually more constructive online than we are in real life somehow. We produce more, we come up with more. And then I find that the opportunity to work on my own a little bit before going back into the team, because you have that, especially when you're working from home, and she's got 3 kids and she's got to log one into a Zoom classroom at this time. So she's popping out and then popping back. So you do get quite a bit of time working on your own. I find it's a nice opportunity to have some quiet thoughts and have some thoughts on my own that I can then bring to the table and then build on from there. I don't know if that's useful to you, because that's just how that's how us as a team of 2 have managed this kind of process. But I got to tell you that I feel like we've gotten better at it and better at it, to the point that now when we're together in a room, I feel like we're less like, we get to the point less quickly when we're in the room together, because then we're chatting, we've got to go make tea, and then we did this and did this, and let me show you this. But when we're on the screen, we kind of seem to zero down into the problem a lot quicker. But it's definitely been a process getting there. I don't know if that's useful at all. I'm sure you already did a lot of those techniques.
Yeah, I've got the same with my copywriter, exactly the same. I mean, he's a dad, he's homeschooling his 2 girls, and so when we do check in, we try and come to the brainstorming or like our session with ideas already, so that we're making the most of our limited time together. But also we've had to, routine our brainstorm. I think in an agency, you have a bit of flexibility. Let's go for a walk. After this meeting, or come in early, stay late. So I think like actually scheduling our brainstorms and check-ins to dedicated little brackets of time has really helped. So agreed, we are actually very productive, because I think you don't have that much downtime in between, as much as you're at home, there's stuff to do, there's stuff all around you. So a little bit of like regiment is a terrible word to use, but that's helped. A little bit of a routine there's helped.
Yeah. We also have a Pinterest board that we share. It's a secret Pinterest board, and we just shove stuff in there. We try and outdo each other. It's become a bit of a spectator sport to see who can get the best stuff in there. So it's a private one, so nobody else can see it. And I'll kind of get a notification at 3 o'clock in the morning that she's just put something in the Pinterest in the group. And I'm like, oh, foiled, she won. It's a good thing as well. Damn it, now I can't until I've got something in there. So we use that to kind of like find creative, maybe that's to the inspiration point as well. We find that a useful kind of, it's like a bucket you can store pretty things in and funny things and nice things.
That's cute. I want to ask everyone that's tuned in to quickly turn your cameras back on. We would love to take a massive screenshot of all the hopefully happy smiley faces.
Can you comp out the grey hairs afterwards?
Totally.
I'll lean back.
This thing can be done in Photoshop, don't we?
Yeah, totally. Brittany, have you got it?
Nice Zoom background.
Brittany's tweeting and I don't know what else. So she's the one that needs to, but let me take a picture anyway. Smile. Johannie, you're not smiling.
I am.
I'm kidding. I think that's it for us. My glass is empty. I need more water, so I'm going to.
You mean it's half full?
Oh. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
that was wonderful. I thank you for being our first with the Zoom. I hope that we can have an in real life one in the not too distant future. But I think for the time being, this is working actually quite well. And it's nice that we can pull people from all over. I saw on the chat someone from London. So it's really lovely to have people from everywhere. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Cool. So fun. Thank you.
Thanks,
Have
guys.
a lovely evening.
Okay, bye.
Bye.